Look at the well-sculpted hair, the goatee, the casual laissez-faire way he does not wear a tie. Likely because he doesn't know how to do it. Love you too.
So what do you think of Congressman Tom Latham?
His tan is only second to John Boehner.
Congressman McCotter, it's good to have you here. I've noticed that as you go through this and you talk to people, you start with the history about yourself. A lot of people in this race calling you the dark horse candidate. What's the first thing to know about you off the bat, aside from family man?
Well, I think that's the most important thing anybody can learn about someone, is that they're a husband, they're a father, where their true roots in their community and their family and their faith lie. And I also think that one of the things that perhaps I do it subconsciously, but all we hear a lot of times is that politicians like to talk about themselves. And I'd rather talk with people. I'd rather hear from the people that I want to work for and serve, because I find myself a particularly uninteresting subject.
You recently wrote a book called Seize Freedom, where you're having a conversation about ideology and your opposition to ideology, leftist, liberal, progressive, and the idea of conservative ideology, and you don't believe those two actually cross.
No, but thank you for that light subject matter. As we learned as philosophical conservatives from Edmund Burke, the font of modern conservatism, from others such as Russell Kirk, from others even more recently like William F. Buckley Jr., conservatism is the negation of ideology. Ideology comes from Rousseau, the roots that through reason alone you can recreate humanity at a whim. That all that has gone before you in what Burke called the contract of eternal society can be undone if you just will it to be so. As conservatives, again, we agree with Burke. The true task of a statesman is to conserve and improve. We cannot look at the wisdom that has accumulated throughout the generations, throughout Western civilization, and expect that we can make it bend to our every whim. We respect our inheritance, we improve upon it, and we pass it on. The ideologue believes, again, that that has no bearing upon what they do. That they can sit in a Harvard classroom and draw it up on a blackboard and make you conform to it. This is why ideology has been the bane of the 20th century, and it must be disdained in the 21st century. Because the greatest horrors in humanity have come from those who in a time of chaos and crisis have told their fellow citizens they have a very simple solution, and they are more than happy to use force of arms or the power of a prehensile government to force it upon you. We are a free republic. We go back from the founding. We go back even further. We will not forsake our inheritance. We will not engage in abstract theory. We will be philosophical conservatives like Ronald Reagan and others, and we will move this country forward. So that's why I make that point. And I think it's a valid one, and it's not mine. Again, if you disagree, you can go talk to Edmund Burke, Russell Kirk, or you can talk to Buckley Jr.
Allow me to bring you into, most recently, Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, after the debate on Thursday, which you were not in, really went after the group of people on stage because they were willing to take this pledge that even if it was a 10-to-1, tax cuts to spending cuts to revenue enhancements, tax increases, they wouldn't go for it. Do you agree with that pledge, or do you agree, or does Congressman Schultz have a point that we need to raise taxes at all?
Well, first, thank you for reminding me that I wasn't at the debate. It was a lot like prom. I asked and asked to get in, but no one would take me. But it worked out. I met my wife later, and it worked out for me. But look, I love the way the Democrats talk about a balanced approach. Because really, for the 2 years they had absolute power, their spending was completely unbalanced. It was insane. It was dysfunctional. They buried this country under mountains of debt that were historic in the United States. And we are going to be trying to repair that damage for quite some time. So for them to say all of a sudden now that you have to be responsible, Mr. Republican or Mrs. Republican, you have to raise taxes in a recessed economy when people aren't working, when 14 million of our fellow citizens are unemployed, when over 30 million of our fellow citizens can't find better jobs to move to start freeing it up for younger people to get their opportunities. For them to say they want to raise taxes show, A, they do not know anything about the economy, and two, they clearly have short and long-term memory loss because they drove up this mountain of debt despite the American people, and they also forget that their policies have failed. People used to ask me, they said, well, what do you expect the Democrats to try to do when they got, now that they, in 2006 and in 2008 have majorities, and now that they have a president, what do you think they're going to do? Where are they going to lead America? I said, back to the 1970s. Now, some of you are too young to remember stagflation, but we have a stagnant economy right now. And the larger that they try, the more of your money they try to take to prop up an imploding welfare state. The more of your decisions that they try to make to empower a bureaucracy to continue the welfare state, which is outdated in this period of time, the worse off this country's going to be. And that's not just in terms of employment, that's also in terms of the social safety net, which we want to continue as a compassionate and as a just country. So to me, they do not understand the times in which we live. Ask yourself a question. What is the wave of the future? Is it big government or is it self-government? And I would ask anyone who says big government to look you in the eye and say, then why do I have a laptop computer where I can get information from anywhere I want to make my own informed decisions? When I have a BlackBerry that I can use to buy any good or service around the world, why is the government going to tell me whether I can or I have to buy my health insurance within one state? Everything in your life is leading you towards self-government. It is everything that this country was built upon. It is everything, the attempt of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle of trying to centralize your decision and your money in the government. They are wrong, they are backwards, and it must be resisted. And it will be.
That's enough from us at PJTV. Now on to your questions.
How much time do we got left?